Your tail light burns out on a Tuesday? You do not notice it because you cannot see your own rear lights while you are behind the wheel. Thursday morning, a police officer pulls you over on your way to work. You are not speeding. You are not distracted. You're not doing anything wrong except driving a car with a burned out bulb. Something that happens to every vehicle eventually, something that is nobody's fault, something that used to cost you a $50 fine and an afternoon at the repair shop. But that stop just added a point to your license. A point that will sit on your driving record for the next 2 full years, combining with every other violation you pick up during that time, quietly pushing you closer and closer to losing the license you depend on to get to work, take your kids to school, and live your life. Most New York drivers have absolutely no idea this is happening right now. February 2026 brought the biggest and most sweeping changes to New York's driving laws in over 2 decades. The point system got stricter. License suspension now happens faster than it ever has before. Penalties that used to result in nothing more than a fine now put points on your license. Violations that used to carry 3 points now carry 4. Violations that used to carry 5 points now carry 6 or 8. And the window during which all of those points count against you just got significantly longer. Millions of drivers across the state are still operating under the old rules. They think they understand how the system works. They think they know how much room they have before things get serious. They are completely and dangerously wrong. And the state of New York did almost nothing to warn them. These changes rolled out with virtually no public education campaign, no major announcements, no letters to license holders, no radio spots. Just quiet updates buried in the DMV website and sudden enforcement beginning in February 2026. Thousands of drivers right now are 1 or 2 violations away from losing their license, and they have no idea the ground shifted beneath them. That changes today. This is Smart Law Wallet. And what I am about to walk you through are the 10 law changes that caught millions of New York drivers completely unprepared. What each one means, what it will cost you if you get caught, and what you need to do right now to make sure you are not the next person blindsided by a system that changed without warning. Before February 2026, equipment violations operated on a simple and widely understood principle. Broken taillight? Pay a $50 fine, get it fixed, move on with your life. Blown headlight? Same deal. The fine was an inconvenience, not a serious consequence. It did not follow you. It did not compound. It did not affect anything beyond your wallet in the short term. That system no longer exists. As of February 2026, equipment violations carry 1 point on your license. That point stays on your record for 24 full months. Yep. 2 complete years during which it sits there waiting to combine with anything else that happens. And this is where drivers who think 1 point sounds harmless are making a very expensive mistake. Here is how quickly 1 point becomes a financial catastrophe. Say you receive that equipment violation in March 2026 because a taillight burned out overnight. You pay the fine, get the bulb replaced, and forget about it. Then in October 2026, you get pulled over for going 8 miles over the speed limit on the highway. A minor speeding ticket that millions of New York drivers have received at some point in their driving lives. Under the new system, that minor speeding ticket is now worth 4 points. Add the 1 point from your equipment violation and you are sitting at 5 points total. You are now just 1 minor violation away from triggering the driver responsibility assessment, a government fee of $300 paid over 3 years on top of every fine you have already paid. You are halfway to license suspension. All because of a tail light that burned out while your car was sitting in your driveway. Your insurance company is watching all of this too. Equipment violations now cause insurers to raise your rates by 10 to 15%. on an annual premium of $1,500. That is between $150 and $225 more per year. Over 3 years, in the period during which insurance companies typically look back at your record, you are paying between $450 and $675 extra. All for a bulb that has a limited lifespan and was always going to fail eventually. The reason millions of drivers are unprepared for this change is simple. It feels deeply unreasonable. You cannot check your rear lights from the driver's seat. Normal wear and tear on your vehicle now translates into points on your license, and nobody warned you. Under the old system, New York tracked your violations over an 18-month window. Points accumulated during that period counted toward your total, and once a violation fell outside that window, it disappeared from the calculation. Drivers understood this. They planned around it. They knew that if they had a rough few months on the road, time would eventually reset the clock. That window is now 24 months. And the 6-month extension is actively catching drivers who thought they were in the clear. Drivers who made their calculations based on rules that no longer apply. Consider a concrete example. You received a speeding ticket in January 2025. Under the old 18-month system, those points would have dropped off your record in July 2026. You would have been clean. But under the new 24-month system, that January 2025 ticket stays on your record until January 2027. 6 months longer than you expected. Now, say you pick up another violation in September 2026. Under the old rules, the January 2025 points would already be gone. Only the new violation would count. Under the new rules, both violations are on your record simultaneously and their points combine. Drivers who thought they had safely waited out their old violations are suddenly discovering those violations are still very much alive. The most damaging aspect of this change is how quietly it arrived. The DMV updated their website. That was the extent of the public notification. If you were not actively checking the DMV website in late 2025 or early 2026, you have no idea this happened. And the vast majority of New York drivers were not checking. Starting with renewals processed after mid-2026, New York requires vision testing for every single driver license renewal. Not just for seniors, not just for drivers with prior violations. Every driver, every renewal, no exceptions. Before this change, renewing your license was often as simple as filling out a form online, paying the fee, and waiting for your new license to arrive in the mail. Millions of New York drivers have renewed this way for years. That process is no longer available without vision documentation. You must either pass a vision test at a DMV office or submit certification from a licensed eye care professional confirming you meet the visual requirements to drive. The deeper issue is what happens when someone fails. And this is happening more than most people realize. Many drivers have experienced gradual incremental vision decline that they have simply adapted to over time without formally addressing. They have not noticed it the way you notice a sudden change because it happens slowly. When they sit down for the required vision test as part of their renewal, they fail. Now they need corrective lenses or an updated prescription before they can complete the renewal process. That takes time and potentially days or weeks, during which their existing license may expire. Driving with an expired license carries its own fines and penalties, creating a cascading problem that began with nothing more than a routine renewal that turned out not to be routine anymore. Drivers are finding this out when they try to renew. By then, it is too late to plan ahead. Beginning July 1st, 2026, every New York driver age 70 and older must renew their license in person at a DMV office. The option to renew by mail, and which many senior drivers have relied on for years, is gone. In-person renewal is now mandatory, and it comes with mandatory vision testing, Depending on the driver's age and history, the renewal process may also include a written knowledge test or a road test. The conditional testing requirement is where this law creates its most significant anxiety for senior drivers. If your driving history or age triggers the requirement for a written knowledge test or a road test, you are suddenly being evaluated on material and performance skills that you have not formally tested in decades. A driver who has been safely and competently operating a vehicle for 50 or 60 years may experience genuine test anxiety in a DMV examination room that would never affect their actual driving on familiar roads. The pressure of being evaluated can produce mistakes that are not representative of a driver's real abilities. If you fail these tests, your renewal is denied. If your renewal is denied, you cannot legally drive. For many senior drivers, the loss of a license is not merely an inconvenience. It is the loss of the independence that defines their daily life. Speeding 1 to 10 miles per hour over the limit used to carry 3 points. As of February 2026, it carries 4. This single change affects more New York drivers than almost any other update in this entire package of reforms, because minor speeding, going 7 over, 8 over, 9 over, is the most common traffic violation in the state by a significant margin. Under the old system, a driver could receive 3 minor speeding tickets within 18 months and accumulate 9 points. That triggered the driver responsibility assessment, but it did not suspend the license because suspension required 11 points. There was room to absorb multiple mistakes without losing the ability to drive. Under the new system, 2 minor speeding tickets within 24 months give you 8 points. You are now just 2 points away from suspension. A single equipment violation, a single illegal U-turn, any violation carrying 2 or more points, and your license is gone. The financial destruction that flows from 2 minor speeding tickets under the new system is staggering when you add it all up. Each ticket carries roughly $238 in fines and surcharges. 2 tickets means $476 in direct costs. 8 points triggers the driver responsibility assessment, adding $300 over 3 years. Your insurance company, seeing 2 speeding violations, raises your rates between 30 and 50%. On a $1,500 annual premium, that is between $450 and $750 more per year. Between $1,350 and $2,250 in additional insurance costs over 3 years. Total damage from 2 tickets for going less than 10 miles over the speed limit twice in 2 years. Somewhere between $2,100 and $3,000. And for the entire 24-month lookback period following your second ticket, you are driving with 0 margin for error. 1 more violation of any consequence and everything changes. New York has always required annual vehicle inspections. But 2026 brought stricter enforcement and higher financial penalties that are catching drivers who operated under the old, more relaxed reality of how this rule was actually applied. If your inspection sticker is expired by 60 days or less, the fine now runs $25 to $50 plus the mandatory $88 surcharge, a total of $113 to $138. If your sticker is expired by more than 60 days, the fine increases to $50 to $100 plus the surcharge, totaling $138 to $188. But the change that is catching the most drivers off guard is not the fine amount. It is where enforcement is now happening. Parking enforcement officers are now actively ticketing vehicles with expired inspection stickers, even when those vehicles are legally parked on a public street and not being driven at all. Your car is sitting at the curb. You are inside your apartment. And a parking enforcement officer walking the block just issued you a ticket because your inspection sticker expired last month. The trap gets worse when you factor in how inspections and registrations are now linked in the DMV system. If your inspection has expired, you cannot renew your vehicle registration. The systems are directly connected. So you let the inspection slide for a few weeks. Your registration renewal comes due. You try to do it online and the system denies the renewal because of the expired inspection. Now you need to get inspected immediately, but inspection stations have appointment windows. You might wait a week. During that week, your registration expires. If you drive during that period and get pulled over, you face additional fines on top of everything else. The costs compound extraordinarily quickly from what began as a simple administrative delay. Using a cell phone while driving now carries 6 points on your license. Before February 2026, it was 5. That single additional point matters enormously because 6 points is the exact threshold that triggers the driver responsibility assessment, meaning a single cell phone violation now automatically generates $300 in government fees over 3 years on top of the ticket fine itself. The total immediate cost of one cell phone ticket is brutal. The fine alone runs $200 to $400 depending on whether it is your first or subsequent offense. Add the $88 surcharge. Add the $300 driver responsibility assessment. A first offense cell phone ticket can cost you $588. A second offense can cost $788 or more before insurance changes are factored in at all. When you include the insurance impact, insurers raise rates 25 to 40% for distracted driving violations because they know the data on accidents. A single cell phone ticket can cost you between $1,700 and $2,800 over 3 years in combined fines, fees, and premium increases. And 6 points leaves you extraordinarily exposed. 10 points means suspension. You are already 60% of the way there from one ticket. A single minor speeding ticket, 4 more points, puts you at 10. License suspended. What makes this particularly dangerous is how many drivers fundamentally misunderstand what the law prohibits. Touching your phone at a red light counts. Using your GPS by tapping the screen counts. Checking a text message while stopped in traffic counts. The law is clear. If you are in the driver's seat and the vehicle is in traffic, you cannot touch your phone. Period. The only legal exception is a fully hands-free device. Millions of drivers still believe that a stopped car means a safe phone check. They are wrong, and it is costing them enormously. These 2 violations saw the most dramatic point increase of any category in the 2026 reforms. Both reckless driving and passing a stopped school bus jumped from 5 points to 8. And 8 points in a system where suspension happens at 10 means a single conviction puts you 2 points from losing your license entirely. Reckless driving is catching drivers who never thought of themselves as reckless because the violation is inherently subjective. You are on the highway running late, traffic is moving unevenly, and you change lanes aggressively to maintain speed. An officer observing that maneuver decides your behavior crosses the line from assertive driving into reckless driving. 8 points. And because reckless driving is a criminal misdemeanor in New York, not just a traffic infraction, you now have a criminal record. You need a court appearance. You almost certainly need a lawyer, which adds $1,000 to $3,000 in legal fees before you even begin calculating fines, surcharges, assessment fees, and the insurance impact that can double or triple your annual premium. School bus violations are catching drivers who made timing errors in good faith. You are approaching a school bus, the yellow caution lights activate, you judge that you can clear the bus before it fully stops and the red lights engage, and you are wrong by a fraction of a second. The bus driver records your plate, 8 points. The fine runs $400 to $1,000 plus the surcharge. The assessment fees add hundreds more. The insurance consequences over 3 years can add $4,000 to $8,000 to what you pay in premiums. Total damage from one school bus violation, potentially $5,000 to nearly $10,000. And you are 2 points from suspension for the next 2 years. Under the old system, you needed 11 points within 18 months to trigger automatic license suspension. Under the new system, you need 10 points within 24 months. The threshold dropped by 1 point and the window got 6 months longer. Less room for error over more time with higher stakes at every step. The practical impact of this change on real drivers is severe. 2 minor speeding tickets give you 8 points. You are now 2 points from suspension. A single equipment violation adds 1 point. A single illegal U-turn adds 2 points. Almost any additional violation at that stage ends your license. And because the look-back period is now 24 months instead of 18, violations that would have aged off the calculation under the old system are still in play. When a license is suspended in New York and you continue to drive, as many people do because they have no other way to get to work, you are committing aggravated unlicensed operation, which is a criminal misdemeanor. First offense carries fines up to $500 and up to 15 days in jail, along with a permanent criminal record. The cycle this creates is devastating. Suspended license leads to driving any way out of necessity, which leads to criminal charges, extended suspension, higher fines, and a criminal record. When the license is eventually reinstated, insurance companies see a suspended license and a criminal conviction and treat the driver as extreme high risk. Rates can increase 200 to 300%. Many drivers cannot afford those rates and drive without insurance. Another crime, more penalties, deeper financial ruin. The entry point to all of this is 10 points. 2 common violations can get you to 8. 1 more mistake ends everything. This is the change with the most permanent and devastating consequences of anything in the 2026 reforms. Any alcohol or drug-related driving conviction now counts as 11 points. 1 above the suspension threshold, meaning an automatic, immediate license suspension upon conviction. But the truly life-altering change is what happens over a lifetime. If you accumulate 4 alcohol or drug-related driving incidents over the course of your entire life, the New York DMV must permanently deny any future license application. Not for 5 years, not for 10 years, forever. You can never legally drive in New York again. The previous threshold was 5 lifetime incidents. It is now 4, and millions of drivers are unprepared because they do not understand how broadly New York defines drug-related driving incidents. DWI, driving while intoxicated by alcohol, is obvious. But DWI drugs covers any medication that impairs driving ability, and the list of qualifying medications is far longer than most people realize. Prescription pain relievers, over-the-counter cold medicine, allergy medication, sleep aids, anti-anxiety medication. If you take any of these medications and drive, and an officer determines that those medications impaired your ability, you can be charged with DWAI drugs. That charge counts as one of your 4 lifetime incidents. Consider how this plays out over a realistic lifetime. You make a bad decision at 22 and receive a DWI. You learn from it, never drink and drive again, and move forward. At 32, you have dental surgery and take prescribed pain medication. You drive to pick up your children because you feel fine. A minor accident occurs, and police determine the medication impaired you. DWA drugs, 2 incidents. At 47, you take cold medicine before driving to work and weave slightly in your lane. DWA drugs, 3 incidents. You are now 1 incident from a permanent lifetime ban, and you may not even realize it. At 60, blood pressure medication you have taken for years causes unexpected dizziness. Another minor incident. 4th conviction, your license is permanently revoked. You will never drive legally in New York again. The financial damage from even a single DWI before you reach any of that is catastrophic on its own. Fines, surcharges, special alcohol assessment fees, ignition interlock device installation and monthly monitoring costs, attorney fees. A single DWI can cost between $9,000 and $6,500 all in. Your insurance rates can double or triple for years afterward. And you are now 1/4 of the way to a permanent lifetime ban with nothing to show for it except 1 serious mistake. New York is one of the very few states in the country that imposes a true permanent lifetime ban with no path to reapplication. 4 incidents and it is over. Not for a decade, not until you demonstrate rehabilitation, but forever. These are the 10 law changes that caught millions of New York drivers completely unprepared in 2026. The point threshold dropped. The look-back period extended. Penalties increased across the board. New requirements for seniors and vision testing created barriers that never existed before. Minor violations that used to carry manageable consequences now carry enough weight to begin a cascade toward financial ruin and license suspension. And almost none of it was communicated to the people it affects most. The most important thing you can do right now is stop operating under the old rules. The system you thought you understood has changed in ways that matter enormously for your daily life, your finances, and your freedom of movement. Check your lights before you drive. Get your inspection done on time. Put your phone down completely while you are behind the wheel, not at red lights, not in slow traffic, not for a second. Drive with the awareness that the margin for error is nearly gone. 2 violations in 2 years can put you on the edge of losing everything. If you do receive a ticket under the new system, take it seriously in a way you may not have taken a ticket before. The new point values make every violation more consequential than it has ever been, and a traffic attorney can often reduce points or get charges dismissed in ways that matter enormously under a system this unforgiving. The cost of an attorney may be far less than the cascading costs of letting a violation stand. Know these laws. Understand how the point system works now, not how it worked 5 years ago. Protect your license like it is one of your most valuable possessions, because for millions of New York drivers, it is exactly that. This is Smart Law Wallet. Stay informed, stay protected, and keep your license safe.